I never thought the woman I married would someday hand me a bill for affection. My name is Daniel, 39, a mechanical engineer from Denver. I've always believed in balance. Effort should match effort. My wife Claire used to think the same. Gentle, patient, quietly funny in a way that made ordinary days feel warm. For years, our life together was simple but steady. And to me, that was enough. Somewhere along the line, it stopped being enough for her. It started small, like anything that slowly rots. A sigh when I reached for her hand. A stiff shoulder when I leaned in to kiss her. The tenderness in her eyes replaced with something I couldn't name. Boredom. Maybe resentment. I tried talking to her. She'd shrug and say, "I'm tired, Daniel. You read into everything."
So I stopped asking.
I convinced myself she was stressed, that time and routine just dimmed things. I cooked dinner more, cleaned the house, planned short trips, hoping she'd remember the man she once chose. But the more I tried, the colder she felt. Then one evening, everything snapped. We were at the dining table, bills spread out, her phone lighting her face. She didn't look up when she said it, so casually it felt unreal. "If you want intimacy," she murmured, scrolling, "maybe you should help more with money." I went still. "What do you mean?" She put her phone down and finally looked at me. "I mean, you know, us. Maybe if you paid more of the bills or helped with my credit card debt, I'd feel motivated." Motivated. That word stung. I stared at her, waiting for a smile or a joke. Nothing. Just her tapping her nails on the screen, like she was negotiating a contract. "So you're saying I have to pay my own wife to be with me?" I asked quietly. "Don't make it sound cheap," she said, rolling her eyes. "Marriage is exchange. You get what you give. It's practical." I didn't shout or break anything. I just sat there looking at the woman I once adored, realizing I no longer knew her. Somewhere in the routine and comfort, she replaced love with leverage. That night, I slept on the couch, not out of fury, but because I couldn't lie beside someone who viewed affection like a transaction. Days passed. She pretended nothing had happened. She texted me, "Pick up milk," or "We're out of detergent," like she hadn't put a price on the one thing that made us more than roommates. But something inside me shifted, slowly, quietly. I stopped starting conversations. I stopped cooking. I stopped asking if she got home safely. Every gesture that once came from love now felt like charity, and I was done giving handouts. 2 weeks later, she brought it up again, this time with specific figures. "I've been thinking," she said at breakfast. "Maybe $300 a month is fair. It's not just for, it's for emotional energy too." I laughed, not bitter, just stunned. "Claire," I said, "do you hear what you're saying?" She folded her arms. "You act like I'm wrong. Women get compensated all the time. Gifts, trips, support. What's the difference?" I stared at her for a long moment before answering. "The difference," I said slowly, "is that love doesn't come with invoices." She snorted and went upstairs, muttering something about me being dramatic. But that morning, after she left for work, I opened my laptop. I searched for a divorce attorney. I filled out every form quietly, the way a man fills out a death certificate. Because in reality, the marriage was already dead. She'd just handed me the bill. Claire didn't notice at first. That's the thing about people who think they're in control. They never feel when the balance shifts. The next week, I went through the motions like an actor performing a play I no longer believed in. I woke, brewed coffee, left for work, returned, nodded at her meaningless chatter. Meanwhile, the divorce papers sat neatly in my briefcase. Waiting. She'd started dressing differently. More makeup, tighter outfits, perfume that didn't smell like the one she used to wear. At first, I thought it was for me. Then I realized it wasn't. The attention she wanted didn't live here anymore. Friday night, she came home late. I didn't ask where. She leaned in the doorway, phone in hand, smirking faintly. "You've been quiet," she said. "Finally considering my offer?" I smiled without warmth. "I've thought about it." "Yes." Her eyes brightened.
"Good.
"I think it'll make things easier between us." I nodded. I agree. Things will certainly get easier. Saturday morning, I left early, telling her I had errands. Instead, I went straight to my lawyer's office. We reviewed the paperwork one last time, clean, uncontested. I got the house in my name, and since she'd recently quit her job to focus on herself, there wasn't much she could claim. My lawyer, a quiet woman named Lisa, looked at me once we finished signing. "Are you certain?" she asked. "I've never been more certain," I said. That evening, I returned to find Claire lounging on the couch, wine in hand, scrolling her phone. She didn't look up. "You could have texted," she said lazily. "Dinner's cold. Not hungry. Suit yourself." "So, what's your decision?" I placed the folder on the coffee table. "I've decided we're done." She blinked, confused. "What?" I opened the folder. The papers were there, neat, final, emotionless. "You wanted to turn love into a business. Here's my end of the deal. You get freedom, I get mine." She stared at the papers, her smile faltering. "You're joking." "No," I said softly. "You're the one who turned love into an invoice. I'm just paying the balance." Her eyes widened, anger coloring her face. "You're divorcing me over that. You're ridiculous." "Am I?" I asked evenly. "You said intimacy was transactional. You said love was practical. I'm treating it exactly as you wanted, as a contract. This," I said, pointing to the papers, "is me ending the deal." Her lip trembled.
You can't just end a marriage like that.
I tilted my head. "You already did. I'm just acknowledging it." She tried to speak again, but I stopped listening. I went upstairs and packed a few bags. I'd already rented a small apartment across town. When I returned downstairs, she still stood there, staring at the papers like they were in another language. "Where will you go?" she asked softly. "Somewhere quiet," I said. "Somewhere I don't have to earn affection." For the first time in years, she had no response. I walked past her, opened the door, and stepped outside. The night air was cool, crisp. Months of suffocating under her indifference lifted in an instant. As I reached my car, I heard the door open behind me. "Daniel," she called. "Wait, can we talk?" I looked back. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, mascara smudged. For a brief moment, I glimpsed the woman I once knew, the one who laughed too loud, danced barefoot in the kitchen, who said love wasn't about keeping score. But she had buried that woman long ago. "There's nothing left to say," I said softly. "You made your choice when you put a price on something priceless." I got in the car and drove away. No drama, no tears, just silence, the kind that feels like peace. The divorce went through faster than expected. No arguments, no pleas, no last-minute confessions. She didn't even show up at the final hearing. Mutual friends mentioned she'd moved in with someone new, a guy from her gym. I didn't care. I wasn't angry, just done. People sometimes ask if I regret it, if I should have tried harder, spoken longer, forgiven more. I tell them this: love can survive hardship, distance, even betrayal, but it cannot survive transaction. Once you start charging for affection, it isn't love anymore. It's a service. And I refuse to be a customer in my own marriage. The day the divorce was finalized, I bought a coffee, sat by a window, and watched the world move by. For the first time in years, I felt calm. No anger, no guilt, just quiet freedom. Some think endings are loud, doors slamming, voices breaking, chaos everywhere. Sometimes, the loudest ending is silence. The silence that tells you it's truly over. And that silence felt